Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology update for November 27th through December 4th, 2023. Wow, we're really getting through this year, huh? And this time is so interesting. It seems to be moving very fast, and yet we have that same feeling like we're stuck in the middle of nowhere in a time loop. So, this is really interesting energy because we've been having a lot of squares and tension energy. So we'll talk through that because this Gemini full moon, very powerful weekend, huh? The Gemini full moon created a Grand Mutable Cross. Started out the Gemini moon was very visibly in the sky, conjunct Jupiter, bringing this expansion energy and yet a challenge, a question, issues around our self-worth. And so expanding, how into who we really are, and not part way, but all the way, living our truth, stepping onto our path. The sun and Mars not too far away, and the moon all making a square with Saturn and a square with Black Moon Lilith. A grand cross, but in mutable signs, and the mutable signs are about adjustment. So this is a grand adjustment that we're in, and we can feel they came together exact in this square on the 25th, but we'll be feeling it through the end of the month, through Friday the 1st. So this whole week, and it's just like tensions are on the rise because Mars just got super activated. He had a birthday. He had a fresh start with that conjunction with the sun, and then moving into Sagittarius, and then coming smack dab into the square with Saturn. And so it's kind of like a hold up, right? You thought you were ready to go. This is so exactly the energy of where we're at, supernova souls. It's like you thought you were ready to go. You thought you had dropped all your crap. You thought you were ready to just take that leap. And it turns out it's ready to blow in our world, all this truth, all this realization, all the changes that need to happen for us to get back on track with our divine timeline, which appears to be landing. And this is the energy of Saturn at 0 degrees Pisces, having turned direct, but just hanging out at 0 degrees. Saturn will make it to 1 degree on the 28th of November this week. So we're inching our way forward into the new reality. But the message is that it's not until you see a new reality is actually possible. It's like part of us hasn't believed it. And it's not until you begin to move in the direction that you actually know what you need to do to prepare. Like, it's glowing very bright, And yeah, we've been saying we want it. But then when you're standing at the edge of the precipice of that new possibility and that new light and that new life and that new identity, this is a new identity for us, our true spiritual identity. Then we cower a little bit, then we recoil. We're kind of like, oh, am I ready? Do I deserve this? Have I prepared fully? Because it's like we don't want to take any last entanglements with us, right? We are not playing these games anymore. For so long, supernova souls, this whole evolution, we've been playing by their game. We've been suppressing and denying and allowing our world, our spiritual truth to be invalidated again and again. And it's like, no more. We're not playing. But we've been so programmed. And it's like this thing of like, oh yeah, I'm ready. Come on, bring it. Frustration, right? And then it's like, wait a minute, I'm not prepared at all, And part of me is still attached to this old way because it's what's comfortable. And especially being this strange phenomena where we can tell, we know there's supernova souls, we're here, the light workers, but we're so far away from each other. We're so disconnected. And it's so hard when you're all by yourself, alone at that precipice, which we know that's the only way we can make the leap, right? but it's a challenge in our resolution, in our self-worth, in our, this is going on, but we have a lot of work to do on unraveling the programming. And so the message around this for supernova souls is that this is your day-to-day thoughts, emotions, energies, where the only thing they have left is the effect on the collective through vibrations and frequencies. It's like a frequency war. And it's like just like the metaphor, the whole story of this evolution of us being like, oh, well, I guess you're more powerful and we'll just hang out until it's our time, and conceding our reality, conceding our spiritual truth again and again. And now we cannot do it anymore. And we actually have this triumphant, glorious opportunity in every moment to use our Jedi warrior skills to stop time and say, hold on. I know that thought, that negative thought, that energy, that darkness, that distraction into the lower play. I can feel it replaying. I can feel the old pattern. But guess what? I'm taking back the reins on my life and my reality, my emotions. I choose to feel this way because there's lots to feel bad about, right? I mean, it's scary out there how close we've come to giving all of our beautiful gifts away to the transhumanism agenda, to technology. I mean, and we're not done with this battle, but the place that we're at, supernova souls, is like, wait a minute. And it might not be easy, and you might have to convince yourself. But it's this place of being like, oh no. That's, you don't get to make me feel bad. All this outside energy, this is part of the reason we've been so isolated, because we need to reevaluate, rework, realign our reality, our truth to our truth, and we cannot let the outside manifestations determine anymore. This is the shift. We're in charge. We are the authority. A human soul in the body, nothing, no stronger influence. This is what came through the Agar Casey readings again and again. I mean, we feel the planetary energies, right? I mean, this is what we're talking about. And there's a dance playing out with all this information and a story. But again and again in the Casey readings, there was this message that, like, it's not as strong a force, those influences, as the human will. And so we engage now and we say, oh, no. You do not create my reality. No, none of these forces out there. All these people creeping in, wanting to tap into your energy and, oh, how you been? It's been so, and dropped out of your life, and they're coming back. And it's just like, we are being given the opportunity to exercise this will, the spiritual will, and the strength of it, and be like, this is what's true. This is what's real. And it does not mean one iota to me whether you buy into it or not. This is my truth, and I'm going to finally honor that. And this births our new world. I mean, it's down to this energy of every emotion, every thought, and it's just such a tricky interaction with the world right now. And why it's so important for us to reach out and feel connected to other souls that are going through what we're going through. And so we can be validated in this process, so this is the idea of the Supernova Soul Tribe. And thank you so much for being a part of that. And it's a great way to bring your energy and make an offering and be a part of this group. It's time. We're getting the message. It's like, places, please rally the troops. Now is when we focus our energy. So it's really interesting because it's like, it's been hard to even trust that the changes are even happening because we've been in such this loop. And it's this message that's like, it's okay. We couldn't really prepare and be ready for what's coming until we could see that it's actually coming. And this is where we're at. So this is the energy, because The Sun and Mars have now moved over into the sign of Sagittarius, but smack dab into that square with Saturn. Like, oh, you're going to rise above this stuff and like get a new perspective and see it clearly and get back on the quest. And then Saturn's like, oh no, the old guard will not let go. And are we going to shrink to that? Are we going to say, oh, you're right. Yeah, it's just too much effort. Forget it. Or are we going to say, no, I stand in my truth right here, right now, no matter what? And so this is what this astrology is about, because we can tell that the way things are going in the world, there's no other possibility than massive change that's pretty dramatic, because we've been holding it back for so long because we're trying to harmonize it, you know? And yet we sit at this precipice, this place, this pause. It's so strange. The feeling, the picture is that like we've been pushing and it's like, all right, come on, you guys, we're doing it. We're pushing this big boulder up the hill. We're like, this is the truth. This is the realizations. This is what we need to move over into the new age, into the new energy, to claim this optimal, ideal timeline. And then we're having support too. Like the veil is thinning and there's all these energies that we haven't been able to access of like angelic support that like we thought we were all alone, you know, trying to solve all these problems. This is a lot of SuperNova's problem, deal, like issues. And what's coming up with that, this energy of Jupiter and Taurus that got triggered by this full moon. It's like, do you deserve it? Are you good enough? Because it's been feeling like it's all up to us and we're the only ones who even care or notice, and completely overwhelmed, completely alone, completely unsupported, abandoned, left on the wrong planet, you know? And so now we're like, oh, we're finally getting somewhere. And then the help can come because we did the work to get that boulder almost to the top of the hill. And now we're approaching the mountain, the very top of the mountain. But we pause there because it's kind of like, all right. And it's this picture of that doorway and the door's closed, but you can see the door and you can see the light behind the door. And it's kind of like, when you're ready, you can open the door, but are you ready? Do you deserve it? How do we open back up to the spiritual light that we've been so closed off to? Denied. We've turned away from it. And it's always been here, but it's been hard to access. But now it's coming flooding into our world, and it's actually having the effect of making us, in a way, turn further away from it. Like the shame, the guilt of where we haven't been connected, how far we got off, where we feel like we didn't fulfill some sort of purpose. Like, mom's coming home, did you clean the house? Doesn't matter, she loves you no matter what. This is a mother's love that we like in order to receive the light, the God source light that's coming, this massive activation of rebirth, this infusion of light on our planet, in our world. But we can't receive that light unless we can be with her in receptive mode, feeling worthy, feeling held, feeling loved. And I think this is kind of a picture and a bigger metaphor of like, we know we're replaying the last shift of ages. It's just coming up huge. And so there's this energy around the last shift of ages, this huge spiritual impulse coming to the earth, and actually has been in the etheric energy of the earth, the Christ mystery, but couldn't take hold in the hearts and souls and in the earth because we didn't have the feminine to receive this light, to hold, so it could anchor in. You know, it's in the arms of the mother that the father's light can shine. So that's why we're going back and having to correct all this stuff. And this is everything that astrology is talking about, with this full moon making a T-square with Saturn in Pisces, rewriting the Piscean age somehow, trying to unwind and rewind. And then Black Moon is also square to Black Moon Lilith and Virgo. Black Moon Lilith is the deepest, darkest secrets that have been hidden from us, and that we've been hiding from too. And in Virgo, it's about cleaning it up. And in Black Moon Lilith is associated with the feminine. So it's the dark secrets of the darkest distortions of the feminine. It's the dark secrets of what's kept us from receiving and being present and being connected to the mother. The whole story of the Piscean age of these religious constructs, patriarchal religious constructs, which is so interesting because if you go back to Yeshua's teachings, if you really distill them down to what the teachings really are, they're the teachings of the mother, they're the feminine. It's unconditional love. And wow, did it go way off on this whole different trajectory of total control over humanity. Oh my gosh, we've got to rewrite this. We got to have all the books of the Bible. We got to get the true story. We got to get the feminine back on board. What really happened? So this is all unwinding. And so, so now we must have this correction of the feminine. This Black Moon Lilith square seem to be about this. Like, we got to clean it up. And we also have to clean up where we've been turning a blind eye to very, very dark. So what's the pictures that's been happening is this. It's like we're in this unwinding. And then sometimes in the unwinding, especially when you get to the nitty gritty part, because we've been doing so much healing and clearing, and it's just like, how much you just continue to do more healing and clearing, like when is it ever done? But what's happening is that we're unwinding to that part that's like really wound up and really tied in a knot and really twisted and really distorted. And it's like wherever we're at and facing our own distortions and lies, we're playing a role in unwinding this for the collective. And it's not pretty. And of course, we're here to lead the way. And isn't it exhausting? SuperNova souls. It's like, is somebody like how much can we do for humanity without humanity on board? And this is where we're at in this shift and change, where the boulder goes down the hill the other side, because the public and the masses understand and are on board with the changes and feeling the emotions and looking at the darkness. And it's not pretty, but we've been holding it for so long. And it's debilitating. It doesn't fit us. It's not who we are. And this is what's going on for supernova souls. It's like, okay, we have to disidentify. This is our preparation, right? With everything that we took on for everyone else and the story, because it's like it just keeps us entangled. And we got to get out of that entanglement. And this is where we're at, because it's like, oh, I'm moving to Sagittarius, but square Saturn's like, oh, no, you don't. There's still entanglements. But you can't find those entanglements until you move towards and into the new chapter. It's so powerful. Now, this is also confirmed by the fact that yesterday on the 26th, Mercury made it to 22 degrees Sagittarius, and this is going into retrograde shadow. And I know it's kind of like, what, another Mercury retrograde? I thought we were finally getting somewhere. But see, this is the deal. So this is the theme of the preparation, because it's like, all right, we're almost to the top. But what Mercury says, wait a minute, there's some stuff we need to figure out. And so for this Mercury retrograde cycle, it's everything showing up for us that's still holding us back in those old stories where we're entangled, the messes. We're being called, there's a huge detox happening, which is a pain on some level because there's a lot of symptoms going on. But the message, the energy that's coming through around this is that there's a thinning of the veil, we've been trapped in this lower dimensional energy, and all of a sudden higher dimensional energies over the last couple of weeks are beginning to come in. And but it's, again, just like you can't really clean it up until you can't really prepare till you know that you're going somewhere. Right? It's like you could pack for your trip, but if you don't know where you're going, then it's hard to really do it. Right? And this is kind of what we've been waiting on. It's like something's happening, but what is it? So you cannot unwind these things until you begin to move in the direction of the new. So this Mercury retrograde timing is just like, on one hand, it's like, Just so uncomfortable to just be like on the verge of great change, and yet you can't go anywhere, you know? But that's the deal. And I feel like the feeling of Mercury retrograde pretty much starts at that when it goes into shadow, you know? So the Mercury doesn't actually turn retrograde until it's at 8 degrees Capricorn on the 13th of December. And then Mercury will turn direct on the 2nd of January, again at 22 degrees. Powerful, because 22 degrees Sag is in square to Neptune that's now at 24 degrees. And so for Mercury to be in square, and Mercury squared Neptune is exact today. And that's why we're feeling this, because it's like, oh, Mercury running into shadow and square Neptune, which represents the stories of the Piscean age, you know, cleaning up this past age, cleaning up the delusions, facing the delusions and the lies. And so it's saying that in order to move into our new timeline, we got to do this, right? Like we're stuck here until we have truth, which means it's coming. What a dance we're in here, right? It's almost like, because at the top of the mountain, there's less, you know, if you've ever climbed a peak and you get up there and you're like, oh, finally. But then if there's other people up there, there's nowhere to stand to claim your ground, you know? It's like there's not much room to go. And this is where we're at. There's nowhere to go besides the truth down the other side. And we're careening. It's like this timeline is careening into the old, you know, this our timeline we got knocked off of. Our true ideal timeline is careening into our other timelines and just like, you know, so we feel this, but we're also just kind of paused right there at the precipice. But this is so important, because what I'm finding is that supernova souls, as we walk towards this door of the future that's closed, but there's a door and there's light around it. And then you have to say to yourself, am I really ready? Do I really deserve this? Can I really open up my heart back to the spiritual love that's trying to come back in? Do I feel worthy, or am I still got some shame, like residue to work out? And what about for supernova souls if the shame residue is like where we have been holding, feeling sorry, feeling bad, feeling regretful, feeling like we failed humanity because it got so far off track? And we were stuck here, trapped, quarantined without our higher dimensional help, blaming ourselves, and then, but also feeling abandoned and overwhelmed. That is all up to us. And what can we even do about it? And just go hide in a cave, or put your head in the sand, or just somehow make it through. And so now this is shifting and changing, and we stand up as the warriors of light that we are. And I want to say, put on your armor of light, but we got to drop the old armor, all that protection and the walls and the boundaries, because we've been trapped here with these lower dimensional beings, pure evil. And we're so naive and so sensitive and so sweet, so loving. It's like, and they've used that against us again and again and again to try to turn us into the monsters that they are. Guess what? It ain't working. And so we drop all that shit. Not me, not me, not me. And we stand in the light that we really are. And we're brave enough to drop these old stories and to be free floating and to not know what's happening, but still take the leap. And even if we do feel all alone, you know, because we know we're not. And that's the thing. We're being asked to start meeting up with our core group of soulmates on the astral plane. Like to get in our places, to be like, yeah, this is happening. And so that's the energy of this Mercury retrograde, because it starts in Sag, or I mean, Mercury goes from Sag into shadow at 22 degrees, square with Neptune. So it's like the Mercury retrograde, the adjustments we have to make in our psyche have to do with the stories of the Piscean age. Same old frickin' stories. Are we done with this yet? And then Mercury goes into Capricorn to 8 degrees, both very transformational numbers. And Capricorn is about authority, our own authority, taking back our own authority, and then having to retrograde back into Sag. It's like until we can own our own authority and say, this is my world and my reality, you do not get to dictate it, then we can't claim back our dream, our vision. This is where the Sun and Mars are right now at the very beginning of Sagittarius. It's like, it's the dream, the fairy tale, the spiritual truth. We've already lived these higher dimensional realities. This is why it's been so difficult and damaging and frustrating and psychologically a challenge for us supernova souls, because this world wants to beat out of us the truth that we know that we've already lived, of higher dimensional realities and advanced technology that's in alignment with humanity and the dream of what life can be. But the beautiful thing is, like, you never let it go. It was like that little sand, that grit, that was like, just, they wanted to wear you down into nothing, and you didn't let them. And now you have a pearl. And in that pearl is the reflection of this possibility, of this truth, of this dream that we know we're here to dream and live. And we're not getting out without it. No effing way. We forge ahead into the future, and yet we sit here at the edge. This has been the same story I know in this astrology over the past years. So this Mercury retrograde just has very important messages for us. And then when Mercury retrogrades back to 22 degrees right at the new year, that's when Mercury will have that another square with Neptune. So it's like checking back in. Okay, where are we at? Where are we at with our permission for our spiritual quest of dreaming the dream and building the dream and co-creating new earth versus the stories and the delusions and the lies of the Piscean age? And so this is what this is all about. And so everything that's coming up, it's like a constant challenge, but it's kind of cool because, like, wait, I can do this work right here in my psyche. We're the microcosm of the macrocosm and the macrocosm of the microcosm, because we're supernova souls. And so with our deliberate attainment of this dream vibrationally, saying, I'm not buying it. I just feel like there's these energies of like, oh, you're getting somewhere. And it's those forces come into your life and they're like, want to pull you back down, into the distractions, into the drama, into the conflict. And I'll tell you what, conflict is always ego. And so this has been our biggest challenge, right? Because it's like, this is why we hate ourselves so much, supernova souls, on a deep subconscious level, is because we feel bad that we didn't stand up for our truth and our light. But we're at the core in alignment with those teachings of the mother. We stand with her of nonviolence and unconditional love. And it's like, oh, how do you stand up for yourself and not let this world trample you and still be true to the heart? And you've done a great job because you're here and you never gave up your love. And I know we've got to like pry it out from underneath all the wounds and the pain and the trauma and the abuse that we've experienced. You never deserved that. You are so precious and you are pure light. But it's not going to serve us to stay there feeling victimized by it. We stand, and it's not with our weapons and our defense and our attack. It's about, we stand in the power of the light that diffuses all bullshit. And more of us every day. So it's like a momentary, moment to moment journey we're on right now of claiming our truth and our psyche. And it's happening. I mean, it's so beautiful, this one by one, how these souls are taking their power back. And the matrix is falling apart, but it's still there because we're the only reason why it's still standing, basically, because what I've been shown, or what it seems like, is that, just say on the practical level of the power structures of our world, the top power structures have been taken out of the dark, of the control energies. But all the systems in the lower levels of power have to work themselves out. We have to personally disavow from this system, you know? And that's exactly everything we're talking about, our time of preparation and disentangling, because we're not taking it with us. You will not be informing our future. And there's the door and there's the light. So, right? It's like, oh, so it's kind of almost like a culmination of the last couple of years, 3 years, it feels like, of astrology with this particular time, because we know that 2024 is the game changer. And yet here we are, Mercury retrograde, just as we head into it. And we know in January, Pluto will make it back into Aquarius, and it's game on. Now we dream the dream. Now we live the dream. Now the energy's on our side. We have legions of light. We thought, I mean, think about it. Say this story's true, that we were quarantined here with demonic energies when we're angelic beings, like came to volunteer to be the light, right? And of course, we have our own process of this beautiful, it's like God training to be a supernova soul and go through this evolution and survive. Like, and we're putting ourselves back together, but now you know who you are. Nobody can take it from you. Holy crap. They've tried. This has been the last period of time. It's like soul sucking, soul stealing, trying to get you to completely doubt everything about what's true about you, you know? But in that place, there's also a beautiful ego death possibility, because it's like, oh yeah, no, that isn't me. And that isn't true. This is what's true. This is how I choose to feel. This is reality right here, right now. I take my power back, my sovereignty, because we know this shift into the Aquarian age is about that. And so where are we still dependent and entangled? Even though we know our heart is not there, they tried to tell us that our heart was in the wrong place. It was always in the right place. And this is the flip. This is the turnaround. But this period of time is about that disentangling, disidentifying, allowing ourselves to have the time, the energy of, like, in the soul tribe now, we're doing morning meditations, Telegram chat, great way to stay connected, and live chats and stuff. But like in today's meditation, the picture was like, there's the door. We're on the pathway to the door. You can walk back and forth. It's like on a ridge, you know, like we're on the path. We're there. But take your time to be ready to open that door, you know? This is what's happening. It's like just the tiniest bit of light shining in on all the shame we've been carrying about where we don't think we deserve the light, but that's who we are and what we are. But imagine, going back to the story, like, imagine it's true that we got quarantined here with all this demonic energies and dark shit and controllers. And of course, as advanced intuitive souls, seeing through this and still having the light within us and knowing that's why we're here. But it would be hard not to take it personally that it was up to us to fix it, you know? And it would be hard not to feel abandoned. Like, how can we exist in this reality without, we know we have beings on all levels that are in alignment and supportive of spiritual ascension on earth? Why don't we feel them? Why do we feel so completely alone and abandoned, right? So what if that was the deal? So now we have to unpack and heal and release the abandonment, the failure, the taking it personally, the like how we as naive, beautiful, pure souls navigated pure evil. We have to forgive ourselves and let all that shit go. So this is the untangling, and where we're still invested on some level in the matrix. Because it does feel like when you let those go, it's like, who am I? What am I doing? I'm all alone. I'm in free fall. But well, at least we're free falling together, you know? And this is kind of the energy. It's like, okay, so you can't really prepare for your trip until you know where you're going, but you can start preparing now that you know you're going somewhere. But it's really hard not to know. except for that we do know, right? This is where we're being pushed into the heart, the truth, to claim it. They almost stole it from us, the dream. Almost. But it cannot be eradicated from the heart and soul of supernova souls. Thank God you're here. And this was the deal with these gratitude retreats I did. And you can always go catch the replays of those. Awesome information and reflection coming through. But it's kind of like, whoa, thank you, supernova souls. You guys are badasses. Like, can we get to that point where we're appreciating each other and appreciating the work we've done and loving ourselves for surviving through this and just dropping all that shit? It just doesn't freaking matter. But it might matter until we unwind the story, till we find that core false belief. So everything we're working with now is literally like a program in a computer. And it's like, we're going to get the viruses out and get back to the original divine program, And so very powerful. Now, so we're still going to be feeling Mars square Saturn. We feel it to the 1st. So this whole week, and it's these tensions rising, and yet we can't go anywhere because now Mercury is like holding back the reins, because we want to be really ready when we open that door to fully embrace the light, not hide in shame from it, not feel unworthy of it. And what is still wounded and the traumas that we've all experienced, supernova souls, that keeps us from being able, when you go through abuse, which all of supernova souls have, that's just our part of our path, and being attacked lifetime after lifetime for being the light. But it's hard not to hold an energy of unworthiness. It's a program. It's deliberate. But that unworthiness is like it's like we're at this precipice place where I can feel supernova souls being like, the battle, and just, I'm so done with this. But then the true possibility of this massive spiritual light coming into your heart, to your life, feeling whole and complete, feeling alive, having a field of energy just heals and breathes and gives life to those around you. Like, are you really ready for that? Can you really receive that? Is that who you are? So it's interesting because there's so much energy around ego death with that Mars Saturn or Mars Sun conjunction. And coming into who we really are. But it's like we're going from the focus from the ego death of who we're not into establishing, owning, celebrating who we are. And it's so funny because when you talk about this, I always feel supernova souls being like, that's egotistical. I can't do that. It's like, if you're not going to stand in the light that you are, who is going to do it? It's your light. You've got to take your place and own this shit. And it's a gift for everyone around you. And there's no negative to it, even though that was the whole story of the Piscean age. And so it is a gift, and you are a gift. And let's get on with it, right? Let's open the door to this love that wants to come back into our hearts and heal us and make us whole and complete and bring us together in this joyful celebration. But are you really ready? So here we are. And so it's very powerful that Mercury will make that is in square to Neptune right now. So this starts the story, right? Went into retrograde shadow, square with Neptune, will go into Capricorn, retrograde back, make another square with Neptune, and turn direct right at the beginning of the year, telling us exactly where we're at. And this is our time to prepare. And then Mercury will not come out of shadow until the 21st of January. And that's a really powerful marker. That's when the boulder goes down the hill, because we have Uranus, the last planet retrograde, to turn direct on the 24th of January. Pluto moving into Aquarius in January, and starting in December, actually, we'll be feeling this magical, beautiful, this is our gateway. This is the doorway. This is the archway to the new reality. And we claim it and we walk through, and it's the Saturn sextile, Jupiter sextile Saturn. where we have this epic conjunction every 20 years between these planets, marking the generations of time. And when they come into sextile, which is about 3 years after the conjunction, that's when you get the magic of the sextile. So it's like of the conjunction. The conjunction brings an impulse of energy, and then the sextile is when we grab a hold of it. And so that sextile between Jupiter and Saturn, this is where we've had again and again these signs on the table, right? Of Pisces and Taurus. Pisces at the end of the zodiac, Taurus, the second sign, and it's sextile, it's creative solutions. And Taurus is all about wealth and worth, everything we're talking about. You know, how many supernova souls have been battling with low self-worth over money, and how hard it is to just be in 3D and be a person that like takes care of reality when you're like working on all these other levels, holding shit together for us on multiple levels of reality. Thank God you're doing it, but it has not been easy. And so it's like there's no value of the invisible wealth. And yet we've got invisible wealth as our value. Paper money with nothing to back it up. The Babylonian money magic system that's just a bunch of lies, just stealing our money. No more. Can't do it. So if we do not see a shift in the financial system before then, we will definitely be seeing it then. That's February 6th and 7th is when they come together exact in that sextile at 7 degrees, right? And this is where Saturn turned retrograde at 7 degrees. 7 degrees is a number of Christ consciousness. So it's bringing Christ consciousness back into the timeline, right? Which means the mother must be here to receive. That's what's happening. And so Saturn coming out of retrograde shadow and into the sextile with Jupiter, incredibly powerful. Now, they had this sextile before Saturn's retrograde back in June of 2023. So that was like a hint. Then we went, this is when this whole last chapter started, because then we just pummeled into this energy of Pluto square the nodes and Venus retrograde. And it's just been like, And so that February marker, but get this, we start feeling the sextile between Jupiter and Saturn on the 17th of December. And we feel it all the way almost through the whole month of March. So this makes January and February total magic. Total magic. Are you going to step through? Are you going to open the door? Are you going to let the spiritual light in, the truth of who you are? This ecstatic experience of every day, a new adventure, living the dream, doing the work you came here to do, spreading the love, turning people on to the truth of what really matters. It's game on. And also in February on the 22nd, Venus catches back up to Mars for their conjunction. Remember, they almost came together before that Venus retrograde. So all these timelines and stories are resolving. And then also in February, Chiron hits the North Node. So it's like, oh my goodness. Because or the North Node they go backward, the nodes. And so the North Node in Aries has been like, come on, let's do this. Let's claim back our life force, claim back our life, stand up for our world. And Chiron is the wounds of where we gave our life force away. So when Chiron and the North Node finally hit, it's a healing of all wounds from the past that are keeping us from writing the story into the future. So then in April is when the epic conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus, expanding higher frequency vibrations in Taurus, worth and wealth. Spiritual wealth, energy is where the wealth is. So that speaks to free energy and a complete overhaul of everything that we think is valuable. We know supernova souls. We've never lost sight of that. That's why you're such a gem. And this Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus have all been about uncovering, feeling worthy of the treasures that we are, uncovering what's been hidden. We all made these intense vows of secrecy and silence to stay safe, to hide the teachings, to hide who we are from ourselves, buried deep into under the rubble. And so that Jupiter Taurus, or the Jupiter Uranus and Taurus conjunction is like, ching, no more hiding from who you really are. And an activation of the higher technologies through us, right? We're the ones pushing disclosure. We got this message and it's absolutely real and true. It's so cool because it's like doing this work, you're like, well, there's this message, but what does it really mean? And then in life it lives and clarifies, if it's pertinent. And we, by coming into our free energy and our energetic field, which we're being forced to, because it's like this the world we're living in, and but the frequencies that have been in argument with the true light of who we are, we've been forced to come into our power to heal ourselves, to save our life. But now the energies are shifting where we're getting the support and help. It's like cleansing energies rather than toxifying energies, healing energies, frequencies rather than blocking frequencies. But we are pushing disclosure of free energy by lighting up our field. It's happening. That is the truth. We got that message because it's like, oh, we are the disclosure of free energy. And that's what's happening. We are pushing the envelope, and there's no more hiding free energy once we're walking around demonstrating it, And this is really happening. Supernova souls, you rock. You're kicking ass. You're doing it. You're showing up. I know it hasn't been easy and it feels so alone, but what you've done and the work you've done and how you've held on to this light is going to become more and more evident. And we can't get out of this without recognizing that. So that's kind of the energy, just giving that longer picture of the next few months of this journey that we're on together. And so this week, what we're feeling is exact. Today is the Sun square Black Moon Lilith. Then Saturn will come into black square with Black Moon Lilith. And so we're looking at the dark secrets within our own psyche that need to be cleaned up on the earth in order to turn this wheel of time. And it's informing that Mercury retrograde cycle. So we've got some clarity about what needs to get cleaned up in our own psyche in order to own and stand in our power and claim our divine right to evolve as spiritual beings and celebrate all along the way, right? No more of this down in the dumps stuff. That's all programming. We're going to find this. Like our natural state of living in freedom and as spiritual beings, especially advanced spiritual beings, is an ecstatic state. This is what it should feel like to be alive. And we've been kept in this prison. And so those energies, even though they still come in, and I don't want to invalidate the emotional process, right? But it's kind of being like, no. Like you're not in charge. Those forces out there are not in charge of how I feel right now. Because there's always something to feel bad about. And that's the world right now. So we have to remember this is a psychological game that we're in. And so we have to claim back our psychology. And sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. You have to lie to yourself, to be like, that you don't get to make me feel bad. I'm going to feel good about this. And that's the beautiful place that we're in, that we don't know where we're going and we don't know when the doors open. We don't know when we're ready or what's going to happen, but we see the light around it. So we're being asked to be in the energy of that light that's on the other side of the door of the life we know is true. And to vibrate at that frequency, to choose that in every moment as best we can. Of course, supernova souls, a tendency to beat ourselves up whenever we can. So go through your process, be true with your emotions, because we got to unwind those old stories, but then recognize these programs that want to keep us feeling bad about ourselves. That doesn't fit. The light that you are, it just doesn't fit. Stop feeling bad, whatever's getting you to feel bad. And say, I can feel good. I feel good about this. Wait, I can feel somewhere there's that energy. And this is kind of the idea behind the morning meditations. It's such an important time for all of us right now. In the morning is such an important time because it feels like supernova souls. It's like, it's like we're all waking up to the truth and to reality. And so when we're sleeping, we're still working through programming. We might be being just these energies that want to keep us asleep. And so those moments when you first wake up, very powerful time to claim that reality, to claim the path you're going to walk on today. And it's a metaphor for where we're at the very beginning of the new dawn, of the new age. What a glorious time to be here. And I hope that you can feel that. And I hope that this is the supernova souls feeling each other on this process and feeling encouraged and feeling excited. That's the only way we should be feeling. I mean, not, like I said, not to invalidate the other feelings, but it's like, this is the truth. That's all the other stuff that's making us feel bad. That's what's dying and going away and getting unraveled. So we need to feel good about what's happening and what's true and get excited and in the vibration. This is the picture that we're seeing is like a conception, a light coming to earth. There's been this video, maybe you've seen it, the meme going around of the picture of when an egg is fertilized by the sperm and a flash of light. And this is literally what we're going to be experiencing, what we're waiting for, this flash of light. It's a conception. And it does feel like there's these new energies coming to the earth. The veil is thinning so we can receive it. Can we lay with the mother? Can we be with her? Can we feel like we're in the nest with her and in receiving mode? And this is a very powerful, if you're feeling like you don't know what in the heck you're doing right now, part of the message that came through for supernova souls is the role we're playing right now is that this light is coming in, even though we see this flash, there's that moment, but the light is coming in. The flash is actually over a period of time because time and space is so different than what we know and realize. And so these surges of energy are coming into our world. And the picture is that you're right where you need to be, right where you're at, and you can receive through the crystal grid of the earth that we didn't even know about. This is a mysterious grid. It's not formed crystals. It's crystalline lines of energy that all go back to the center, whatever that is. But we are positioned right now to absorb these frequency surges and be like a surge protector, to be like a transformer where we can send the energy out in a harmonized way. So know that you might feel kind of knocked off in your body at a time, like, whoa, just like, oh, kind of these detox symptoms and, whatever else. And so the message is like, there's a lot of support to quickly reset your energy field. This is what we're realizing. Our whole power, our whole DNA, our whole identity, everything about us that's real is in our energy field projected. And they don't want us to know about this. We're not educated about it. But our energy field, we can quickly and easily reset, just like the earth is always having these powerful electromagnetic fields come in, energies, but there's an electromagnetic field of earth that buffers it. And we're actually playing a role in the part of that. So it can make you, maybe it's good to kind of be like, oh, okay, I have a job. I have a job description. I'm walking the path back and forth to the door to feel if maybe I'm ready for that light to come into my heart. And I'm receiving these waves of energy and harmonizing for the earth and resetting, and just it exactly fits this mutable cross, grand cross we've been in, because crosses are like, can't go that way, and that's like the new frequency energies coming into the density of the old patterns. And it's kind of a shock, but then you adjust, right? We can easily adjust and we can easily reset. So that's kind of the message there, but just in your meditations, in your presence, and so many supernova souls called to like be in constant meditation, right? I think that's where we're at, and take our places with the legions of light, and be like, we have all the support for this. We just couldn't feel them and we couldn't communicate with them. And now it's not up to us. We can drop all those burdens, all that energy of failure. We're here to learn and grow and become co-creators. And now let's get on with it with our support team, you know? And so maybe that can help kind of focus and understand what's going on for supernova souls right now. But really important that we start meeting, deliberately being available in the astral plane, in our groups, our soul groups, concentric. We have these different soul groups and different purposes and different paths, different pieces of the puzzle. And so we're being asked to kind of be open to connecting on these other levels as we prepare for connecting in the real world, in physical locality. And so it's exciting time of preparation. And so I hope you have a wonderful week, and just know that we're just in this dance of arguments. We're going to feel that frustration energy of Mars square Saturn, like I said, through this week. And then the Black Moon Lilith squares or Saturn square Black Moon Lilith will last through the first week of December. But more and more, we're going to feel access to this lighter energy of Sagittarius to see above the fog the bigger picture of what's really going on and to grab a hold of those energies. Now, interesting though, because on the 30th, Thursday, Venus comes up to a conjunction. Venus is in Libra, comes up to a conjunction with the South Node, and then a square with Pluto right at the beginning of December. And Venus just had an opposition with Chiron. So Venus is happy to be in Libra, but being challenged in, are you really free? Right? Or are you just saying you're free and still going by the old programs? Because that's all you know. Exactly everything we've been talking about. So Venus South Node is so huge because we've got the North Node in Aries opposite. And that's saying this, get up and go. We've got to claim back our world. It's now or never. This is a big message coming through. It's now or never, but we stand at the precipice. Very uncomfortable and yet exciting and nice to have that time to prepare, to know we're really ready. So Venus and Libra, the South Node. So the North Node is, how are we going to get to where we're going? And that's the fight for life and our freedom and our life force and our energy back from the dark controllers. South Node in Libra, the South Node is what's holding us back from the past. And so that South Node in Libra is about where we've rolled over, where we've been too nice, where we've negotiated away our power. And it's interesting because Venus is kind of empowered after that retrograde in Leo and that opposition with Chiron. She's like, I'm still not out of the woods yet. And this South Node Venus on the 30th is like, no more Mr. Nice Guy, right? Like, we're going to be nice and loving, but it doesn't mean we're going to concede to your reality. Can we do both? Can we be like, hell no, and still stay in unconditional love? And so it's interesting because it's a perfect energy for us to completely release all those energies we talked about around feeling like we didn't fulfill our purpose, like we had to sit by and watch while everything went so off the rails, and blame ourselves and feel ineffectual and small and like just unworthy and all this stuff, when it was just the circumstances of showing up as the light in the time of the persecution of the light and being quarantined from the greater level of protection. And going from feeling that failure energy and regret into like, holy crap, look at how I was able to hold the light through the darkest times. What a hero, And so the Venus South Node is like, no more rolling over to that reality. We can have harmony. We're gonna claim our truth of harmony, peace, and love, and we're not gonna let you ruin it anymore. It's a constant thing. It's like supernova soul is the pattern of, we start to break free, start to feel like you're moving forward, and then inevitably a person representing these energies or something comes in. It's like, oh no, you don't. And we've just been in this like lower battle. And so it's incredibly powerful because Venus is opposite the North Node. And Venus is it's the strength of the divine feminine, of saying like, uh, there's an allowing and a compassion, but no way in hell am I going to let you make that my reality. No. And that must be part of the preparation, right? So looks like any remaining authority contracts. And these authority contracts could come up through where it's exactly connected to where you feel like you haven't done what you're supposed to do, or you didn't do it right, or whatever. It's like that's typically underneath that is really that you have something to prove, except you're the authority, you know? And then recognizing where we've been loyal to these forces that have no place being authority over us. Lower dimensional beings from where we came from, you know? And now we stand in our higher dimensional power. And we burn them with our unconditional love, and they shrivel up into nothing. um, so, wow, what a powerful time. It's that moment where you come out of the fog of war and are close enough to victory to own it and celebrate it and live it and choose it. And that's how we win. And we already won. We know, because we know our power, but we have got some cleanup to do because we want to just move into the future without any of these entanglements. So, thank you so much, Supernova Souls, for being you, making it through everything you've gone through, being here, being present with these concepts. When you live and you explore and this is the thing about this work, it's intuitive work. So I can't tell you anything that you don't already know, but maybe it resonates and maybe we can work together and explore these concepts and ideas and hold them in our field. Everything that you do in clearing, healing, and coming to terms with this, who you really are, and your growth into your true power, it supports all supernova souls, in our field, because we're connected in this energy. So keep up the great work, and thank you so much for standing in the light. No matter how far you felt like you got away from it, you never let go. So forgive yourself and let's move on, And so I hope you have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.